Isang magandang araw sa inyong lahat. Tatalakayin natin ngayon sa ating the contemporary world na subject ay ang chapter 4. Okay, napamagat nito ay the global interstate system. So yung slide na ito ay ginawa nila Miss Lumambas, Miss Navarra, Miss Castro, Miss Macalay, Miss Amilodin at saka ni Miss Kumpa. So we're going to utilize this one because I find it very useful. Okay, dito sa atin pong tatalakayin. So, atin ang simulan. So, of course, sa kasalukuyan, meron po tayong tinatawag nating changes. Okay, every time naman meron tayong mga changes in this. And out of these changes, nagkakaroon tayo ng mga resistance. So, depende po yan kung gaano ka-intense yung resistance natin. Okay, regarding the change. Okay, or innovation done within a system. But for sure, okay, sa lahat naman ng institutions, lahat naman ng organizations dumadaan sa punto na ito na kung saan there is really a need for these institutions or organization to change the practice, the traditions, okay, even the philosophy sometimes, or even the objectives. If these objectives are obsolete, and are not suitable anymore for the organization. So just like for example, in the case of our system in the education, so Filipinos cannot accept that before, okay? Because they are used to the old system that we had, but because of the observation done by the educators that in the Southeast Asia, we are the only country that has not yet able to come up with the kind of system that other or most countries are now using. So the K to 12. And after the K to 12, of course, when it was already implemented, so there is also a need for the JED, okay, to change also its curriculum. That's why we are now having this new curriculum offered in the different universities and colleges. Okay. Now, so what is global interstate system? So, of course, globalization is a global economy with global political system. Okay, so these two things, okay, global economy and global political system are usually interrelated and they could not be separated. So, with these two, okay, so here comes your global interstate system. Because when we say global economy with global political system, that is also referring to global interstate system, and that is done through the so-called globalization. So in here, globalization that disperses political and economic power well beyond the state. Okay? So if the state actors are actually crafting, okay, laws regarding economic policies. So still, the economic side of a particular state is also affected. Okay, and state now hold themselves accountable to the host of international norms and okay, or standards, and that is because we are actually interacting with other states in terms of our economic activities, and these are often with the purpose of what, gaining legitimacy at home and of course respectability abroad. Okay, there is a need for you to have this what we call good status or good standing, okay, in the eyes of those multinational companies or even to that of the states, okay, or to the states or other states. And of course, in the so-called global economic or global interstate system, there is really this what we call economic interdependence. Okay, that most occurring okay, in almost all, okay, countries in the world. So the economic interdependence, if you can still recall, okay, there is this interaction or molding of relationship between countries or among countries since then. Okay, so just like the opening of the Swiss Canal in the 19th century, wherein it opened actually many opportunities and possibilities, okay, for the East and of course for the Europeans. So just like here in the Philippines before, so we have this Manila Galleon trade kung saan dumadaan po yan sa Swiss Canal. Okay, so the products, okay, and the goods that are actually present here in the East, so we're transported, okay, going to Europe and some other parts of the world. Okay. But of course, before we did not have this mass production, okay, yet, okay, during that time. So these opportunities are in the field of course, not only limited to trade, but also even in the industry, job employment, and many others. If you're going to look at this time, okay, as of this very moment, so these are actually observable. So according to Sorogio in 2015, so they defined economic interdependence as relationship between countries in which each country is dependent on another for necessary goods and services. So this is occurring mainly because of what? The specialization of countries or the comparative advantage of a country. Okay. So it usually had this edge. Okay. Some countries are having edge than other countries. So especially when it comes to manufactured goods and services. Okay, so it is known for a fact, according here, that industrialization created a kind of specialization. So that's true. Okay, so Japan is specializing in manufacturing different electronic goods. Okay, whereas Philippines is focused on its agricultural sector, and some right now are in industries. Okay, so this specialization, especially in the labor sector, makes companies economically dependent on each other because in some other countries, they don't have the presence of many skilled workers. And skilled workers are usually present in the developing countries. So what they have in there in the highly developing countries are already what, or highly industrialized countries, I mean, are work that belongs to uh, referring to the kind of job which is under the blue collar jobs, okay, or the white collar jobs, I mean, okay, the white collar jobs. To proceed, okay, so we have this one, okay, the electronic herd and the golden straight jacket. So I know some of you are new to this term, okay. So when we say electronic herd, okay, according kay Thomas Friedman, this is referring to what? The global lending group, okay, the global lending group. So here define this one as what? As group made up of all the faceless stock, bond, and currency traders na kung saan ito po mga traders na ito ay nakaupo po behind their computer screens. Okay? Na kung saan minumove po nila ang kanilang pera around from mutual funds to pension funds to emerging market funds or trading on the internet from their basements, of course. Okay, so I have already uh, introduced to you, okay, some of the training platforms, the Binance and the Binomo, and there are a lot of platforms right now when it comes to trading or currency trading. So in this particular definition, so according to Thomas Friedman, so this may consist of what? Big multinational corporations. Eh, na kung saan nagpapakalat po yan ng kanilang mga factories or planta or extensions around the world na kung saan it has constantly shifting them to what? to the most efficient low-cost producers in the world. Okay? So, of course, nangyari po yung pag-grow po ng mga herd ng gano'n kabilis at gano'n katindi. It's mainly because of what? There is already this what we call democratization of finance, technology, and information. Okay? Na kung saan sinasabi din niya ni Friedman na pwede daw ma-replace yung mismong government as the primary source of capital, okay, for both companies and countries to grow. Well, for both companies and countries to grow. So yung private sector po natin ngayon, so especially this herd, okay, the big multinational corporations are the ones in charge right now of the development, okay, aside from the government, of course. Okay? So, yan po. According yan kay Friedman. And then itong yung mga electronic hertz na ito, nag-gather po sila sa tinatawag po nating mga K-Global Financial Centers. Sila po yung tinatawag nating areas na kung saan makikita natin yung tinatawag na the supermarkets. Okay? So, example po natin dito ng mga financial centers natin ay Wall Street, okay, Hong Kong, okay, then London, and then Frankfurt. Okay, Frankfurt is in Germany. Okay. So the electronic herd and the supermarkets can have a huge impact on nation state today. So that's for sure. Okay, even to the point of triggering the downfall of the governments. Kasi pag nagkaroon sila ng boycott, okay, pagbo-boycott sa isang bansa, okay, because of the threat, okay, imposed to them. Okay, so there could be a possibility that they're going to back out, okay, from the business and leave the host country. Okay, so if that will happen, so normally magkakaroon yan na siya ng economic failure, okay, and leading to the downfall of a government or a state's economy. So ganyan ka-critical ngayon yung ginagampanan nila, okay, na role. And of course, okay, pag sinasabi naman natin golden straitjacket, so according kay Dave in 2007, okay, yung mga herd na ito, yung mga nabanggit natin kanina, eh sila po ay mga powerful, okay, entities. Kasi nga marami silang pera. Okay, marami silang pera. Na kung saan itong pera na ito, willing din nila itong ipautang actually sa iba. Okay? Para sa gagawin ng mga umutang sa kanila na business or businesses, di ba? So once invested, it has the ability to sell off its investment if conditions in the country are no longer favorable to them. So yun nga yung isa sa mga tendencies po natin. Na kung saan pag nagkaroon sila ng di magandang encounter or experience, okay, sa government natin, especially when it comes to tax. Okay? So aalis yan sila. So in here, sabi ni Dave, para makakuha tayo ng pera sa herd, okay, you have to make ourselves look attractive even sa mga state. Okay? So, para maging fit tayo sa golden straitjacket, okay, ang isang bansa ay dapat mag-adapt or be seen as moving toward the following golden rules. So, dapat ikaw ay observant nito. Okay? So, according po ito kay Friedman. So, ano nga ba yung golden rules na mayroon ang mga herd natin? Okay? So, 17 po ito. So, una-una, making the private sector the primary engine of its economic growth. So, sa Pilipinas, observable na po ito. Okay? They are also our partners in economic growth, in the economic development because they are already there. since we are having this democratic principle and adopting the so-called capitalism as our economic system. So, good. Okay, pasok tayo dito sa Pilipinas for number one. For number two, maintaining a low rate of inflation and price stability. So as far as we know, so nagagawa nito naman ng paraan. But of course, pag sobra-sobra yung uh, taas ng inflation rate po natin, so hindi po yan maganda para sa ekonomiya natin at hindi rin maganda yan para sa mga citizens na mayroon tayo. Kasi dito, pag nagkaroon po tayo ng high rate of inflation, hindi po stable yung prices po natin when it comes to commodities, tendency-wise, nagiging mababa yung purchasing power natin. Okay, so for example, pagpalagay natin sa simpleng usapan lang. Okay, noon last month bumibili ka ng apples na apat. Okay, that would cost you 100 kasi tag 25 yung isa. Ngayon, pagtataas yung presyo since papasok yung December and may Yuletide season po tayo. So may tendency na tataas yung presyo ng apple. So yung dating apat mo na nakakakala ng 100, so possibility niyan, baka pagdating ng December, tatlo na lang ang mabibili mo kasi tataas yung presyo niyan. It's because of the Yuletide season. So may mga ganong tendency, but that is actually what normal. Okay, normal. Pero when it comes to the meat, okay? So just say for example, yung karne ng baboy, karne ng manok. Okay, before maabot tayo ng 250, 270 dito sa provinces. Pero sa Manila, umabot na yung mga 400 to 500 per kilo. Okay? So before, they have that meat or pork. Okay? Nagkakalaga lang siya ng 300 to 350. Okay? So nung pumasok yung tinatawag nating ano yan, yung swine fever, di ba? Hindi ko maalala yung sakit ng mga baboy. Pero nagkaroon tayo ng kaling kung saan apektuhan yung supply natin dyan. Okay? And because of the shortage, so yun, doon po tumoboy yung presyo. Okay? Now, number three, shrinking the size of our state bureaucracy. So, nagawa na po natin yan in some other departments. So, nagkaroon na tayo ng Reorganization Act na kung saan nagbawas tayo ng mga hindi nagpa-function na maayos na mga opisina o kaya nagkakaroon ng duplication of work or redundancy in terms of the work or the task. So, kaya last time, so maraming din natanggal. Okay? Especially yung mga casual employees natin. Okay? So, sa DPWH, when it was being implemented, I was still there in 2008. Okay? So, marami sa kasamahan ko kasi ako last before was a job order then. Mga kasama ko na casual, so natanggal talaga sila. Yung mga casual regular, yung iba hindi, pero yung karamihan natanggal. Yung regular lang at saka yung job order natira. So, yung iba ko mga kasama na casual, napabayad na lang ng serbisyo. Yun yung ginawa. So, dahil po nagkakaroon tayo ng bawas na tinatawag po nating mga offices po natin. Okay, and number 4, maintaining as close to a balanced budget as possible if not a surplus. So ito, hindi natin, so far sa time ni Pinoy, nagkakaroon tayo ng reenactment. Okay? Then sa time ni Duterte, may reenactment data pagdating po sa GAA. Okay? Pero most often, especially yung trend ng mga presidente sa Pilipinas, mas gusto nila na mag-leave ng legacy. Kaya nagpapabongga sila ng kanilang national budget. So, unluckily, yung atin pong collecting agencies, Bureau of Treasury natin, yung Bureau of Internal Revenue, Bureau of Customs, and the Department of Finance could not able to come up with the budget wanted by the president. Okay? So kaya ang nangyayari, say for example, 7 trillion yung gusto ni Duterte, no? President Duterte. And yung nakokolekta nila is around mga, say for example, 6.1 trillion lang ang nakolekta. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, kung itutuloy nila yung tinatawag nating uh, national budget na yon, as what the president wanted, so uutangin yung natitirang 0.9, okay? Trillion pesos. So, doon tayo nagkakaroon ng utang. So, dito kasi sa balance, say for example, kung balance lang naman yung gusto nila para walang deficit. So, ang mangyayari sana dyan, kung ano lang yung kolekta ng collecting agencies natin, yun ang gagamitin ng presidente. Oh, 'di ba? O mas mababa doon, 'di ba? Mas mababa sa nakolekta, okay, in terms of the national budget. Yung sobra doon, pambayad sa ah, capital, 'di ba? Na kung saan sa inutang po natin, I mean, okay? So hindi lang interest yung babayaran mo kundi pati yung capital, principal amount ng utang mo. Okay? So mas maganda 'yon. May surplus ka doon pag ganun yung mindset. Pero most often, of course, as much as possible kasi may collateral naman tayo. So most president are really wanting to have this bigger national budget for them also to create a legacy or leave a legacy for the Philippines. Okay? And number 5, eliminating lowering tariffs on imported goods. So ginagawa natin yan kahit paano. Kasi kailangan natin kumita sa taripa. So hindi naman lahat ng mga transactions natin ay libre. Okay? Unless kung meron tayong mga bilateral agreements, okay, or multilateral agreements with other countries. And number 6, removing restriction on foreign investments. Not full removal of restriction. Okay? Kasi we do not allow 100% foreign investment to be owned by or a particular organization or company fully owned by foreign nationals. So what we have right now is 60-40. So 60% para po sa Pilipino in terms of stock, and 40 remaining, the 40 remaining stocks is pwede sa mga foreigners. Okay? So yeah, that's because of the Filipino first policy. Meron tayo. And getting rid of quotas, and domestic monopoly. So ginagawa na po natin yan. Okay? And then increasing exports. Okay, nagagawa kahit paano. In terms of agricultural products. But not of course rice, because we are still importing, okay, a lot of rice every year. Okay. And number 9, privatizing state-owned industries and utilities. So ito, may mga GOCCs na po tayo na naibenta na privatized na. Okay. So yung mga GOCCs po natin or government-owned and controlled corporations are of paramount importance also, okay, for income generation for the government. Kasi it's not only the tax or the tariff that we are actually having our income in the government, but also taken also from the income, okay, accumulated by the different GOCCs na meron tayo. Okay, and then number 10, regulating capital markets. Okay. So ito, hindi pa fully ito. Kasi hindi naging successful yung ating oil deregulation law. Okay? Sa panahon ni Pangulong Ramos po yan. Imbes na magsipagbabaan sila in terms of oil or oil products. So, nagkakaroon sila ng tinatawag nating sabuatan. Okay? Kasi kokonti lang naman yung players natin dito, okay, sa Pilipinas. And hindi rin po sila ganun ah, pagbaba ng presyo because nakabase lang din yung kanilang increase doon sa presyo ng ah, crude o petrolyo sa world market. Okay? And then 11, making its currency convertible. Done na po yan. Okay, tapos na po tayo dyan. And number, o ginagawa na natin. Number 12, opening its industry stocks and bonds. Okay? Kukunin natin ito. Sandali. Bond markets to direct foreign ownership and investment. Ayan. So, ginagawa na po natin ito. Yung number 12. And then number 13, to regulating its economy to promote as much domestic competition as possible. Okay, observable na po yan. So nga lang, of course, in some areas lamang, in some uh, businesses, okay, but not all. And eliminating government corruption, so ito nagagawa naman ng paraan, pero of course, since naka-infuse talaga sa system yan at napakahirap na pong kunin itong practice na ito. So siguro pag natamaan sila ng kidlat lahat-lahat, okay, kakatuwa yun ni Presidente. Diba last time nagbiro pa nga siya noon eh. Okay, doon sa SONA. Diba? O sana daw pag nagkaroon ng lightning at patamaan yung lahat ng kurakot. Diba? Magbabago siguro yung Pilipinas. And then number 15, subsidies and kickbacks as much as possible. So ito, hindi ito masyadong ina-accept natin. Especially this kickback. Pwede siguro subsidies, pero when it comes to kickback, may kickbacks po. So that is also sometimes being abused. Okay? Na kung saan dito nagkakaroon tayo ng mga illegal activities. Okay? Or irregularities. Kasi minsan mas malaki pa yung nakukuha nilang kickbacks actually. Okay? Pagpalagay nyo lang, may isang proyekto. Okay? Ang kahalagaan ng proyekto na yun ay 1 million. Pagpalagay natin, 1 million lang. Okay? So, possibility na baka ang i-implement lang nila is 800,000. Yung 200,000, paghahatian na yan nila. Okay? So, of course, mga projects po ng government natin, hindi lang po yan sa DPWH, kundi pati na rin sa education, pati na rin sa iba't iba pang mga departamento na meron tayo. Kaya hindi naman natin nila lahat, pero may mga nakikita tayo sa mga news at saka may nababasa din tayo sa internet, di ba? Mga issues pertaining to illegal kickbacks, di ba? And 16, opening its banking and telecommunication system to private ownership and competition. So okay na po tayo dito kasi may mga private banks naman tayo dito at telecommunications. Kasi yung government natin, PTB lang meron siya, no? Okay? Na telecommunication company. Okay? And then 17, allowing its citizens to choose from an array of competing pension options and foreign-run pension and mutual funds. Yes, ginagawa po yan natin. Okay. So kaya napapabilis yung pag-utang natin sa IMF, sa World Bank, and some other banks here in Asia like Asian Bank and other entities or other states. Kasi itong mga rules na ito, okay, na gusto ng herd. So karamihan dito nagagawa na po na yan ng Pilipinas. Okay? So yun po yung 17 na golden rules ng electronic herd. Okay? Now, according kay Friedman, so sinasabi niya that the golden straitjacket is pretty much one size fits all. Okay? No, kung saan, sabi niya dito, so it pinches certain groups, squeezes others, and keeps a society under pressure to constantly streamline its economic institutions, upgrade its performance. So, totoo naman yan. So, dapat may karoon talaga ng pressure. So, kasi pag walang pressure, pag walang competition, okay, so mag-as is lang yung quality ng products or service. So, kapag meron tayong competition, may competitors po tayo, so as much as possible, we wanted always to be at the top. So, nagkakaroon tayo ng innovations when it comes to the products or service that we are producing. So, kailangan po natin na i-upgrade kumbaga not only our performance but of course the services that we are offering to the citizens. Okay. So as the country puts on the golden straitjacket, dalawang bagay po ang pwedeng mangyari. Okay, sabi dito, its economy grows. Positive po yan, for sure. And its politics shrinks. Kasi nga, meron tayong uh, streamlining or pagbawas ng ating mga offices na hindi naman napa-function ng maayos o kaya nagkaroon lang ng duplication. So the only way to get more room to maneuver in the golden straitjacket is by enlarging it, and the only way to enlarge it is by keeping it on tight. So dapat sinusunod natin to as a state. Okay? So that is one virtue. So the tighter you wear it, the more gold it produces and the more padding you can then put into it for your society. That's according to Friedman in 2002. Okay? So kung ikaw ay isang bansa na ina-apply yun, sinusunod yun, pina-practice yun, so I think mas malapit po sa inyo yung grasya. Okay? So ayan. So here is the difference between economic and political integration. So I think na talakay naman natin to last time, ano. So pero bigyan lang natin ng diin. So Madiera in 2014 explained regional integration as a process of what? Increasing political and economic cooperation among states in close geographic proximity. Pag sinasabi po natin proximity, it's referring to the distance. Okay? Close distance to each other. Okay, scholars often conceptualize regional integration as two broadly conceived processes. Okay, the economic integration and of course, political integration. Okay? So, sabi ko kanina, these are interrelated and these are always inseparable. Okay? So, pag sinasabi natin na economic integration, so ito po ay tumutukoy po sa ano? Sa pagbuo ng tinatawag po nating global market. Okay? Kung saan ito yung pag-combine ng mga national economies to come up with this what we call global economic or global economy. Okay? So it is more information. It's a more information societal-driven process that removes trade and investment barriers. Okay, yan po yung isa sa mga purpose kung bakit nagkakaroon po tayo ng economic integration. Pero pag sinasabi natin economic integration, yan po ay pag-combine ng all national economies thereby forming this what we call global economy. And then pag pinag-uusapan naman natin yung political integration, so it is a more top-down state-driven process, okay, of institutional creation at the regional level. So, meron tayo ding mga regional institutions or economic institutions just like ASEAN, European Union. And sabi dito, there is a policy project motivated by interest, by identity, and ideological factors, of course. So political integration, including the creation of religion, political injections, is also what? Is a process that has developed much more slowly outside of Europe. Okay? So, ayan. Although recent developments in Southeast Asia and South America suggest renewed efforts on this score. Okay, so minsan kasi of course yung tinatawag po nating mga batas natin, naka-anchor din po yan sa norms and standard ng religion. Okay, na meron tayo na kung saan dominant po. So for example, dito sa Pilipinas, Roman Catholic. So if you're going to look at it, yung nakasaad doon sa preamble ng Constitution, okay, although general naman yon, pero as much as the general observation is concerned, okay, most of our laws are actually uh, in conformity with the religious norms also or religious rules. So nangyari po yan, it's mainly because of the practice na meron tayo, and that's because also of what? Colonization. Okay? So ayan. So let's proceed. Okay, nagkakaroon ata ng problema yung aking mouse. Okay? So ayan. So talking about economic regional institutions, okay, or partners or partnerships. So meron po tayo dito. Ay, sorry. Bumalik. Okay. So ayan. So una-una natin dito ay ang tinatawag po nating Association of Southeast Asian Nations. So when we're talking about regional economic institution or partnership, so we have the following: ASEAN, European Union, APEC, NAFTA, OECD, and OPEC. So these are the uh, very important regional economic institutions na meron tayo. So unahin na natin yung andito sa atin. So Association of Southeast Asian Nation. Of course, pag sinasabi po nating ASEAN, kabilang po ang Pilipinas diyan. So ito po ay natatag noong August 8, 1967 in Bangkok, Thailand. Na kung saan nangyari po yan dahil po meron silang na pirmahan na ASEAN Declaration o yung tinatawag natin Bangkok Declaration. Okay? So this was signed by the founding fathers, okay, of ASEAN or founding members. So ang nauna po dito, okay, Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines, Singapore, and Thailand. And later, in 1984, sumali din po ang Brunei Darussalam. 1995, andyan yung Vietnam. Then, in 1997, we have the Lao People's Democratic Republic and Myanmar. Okay, and 1999, we have Cambodia. Okay, na kung saan, sa kasalukuyan, ito po ay mayroong 10 miyembro. Okay, so this is a 10-member state organization. Okay, so of course, may vision po siya. Okay, and I think this was done already. Okay, yung ASEAN Vision 2020. Okay, so it was adopted by the leaders on the 30th anniversary of ASEAN, and they agreed on this what we call shared vision. Okay, as a concert of Southeast Asian nation. Pag sinasabi po natin concert, hindi po ito sing along, kundi group. Okay, grupo. Pag sinasabi natin concert. Okay, outward looking, living in peace, stability and prosperity, bonded together in partnership, in dynamic development, and of course, in a community of caring societies. So, yan po ang nakapaloob dyan sa ASEAN Vision 2020. So, na dapat yung organization na ito ay outward looking, kung saan ang mga tao ay nanirahan sa isang mapayapang rehiyon. Okay? At mayroong stability and prosperity. Na kung saan, nasabi dito na sila po ay bonded together, okay, in partnership. Although magkakaiba po yung tinatawag nating bilis, okay, ng development, pero with the partnership that they have created, so siguradong sabihin talaga natin na no state will be left behind. Okay? And of course, the ASEAN community is comprised of three pillars. So, andyan po yung ASEAN Political Security Community, okay, and ASEAN Socio-Cultural Community and ASEAN Economic Community na kung saan bawat pillars nito ay mayroong blueprint o plano. Okay? So may plano po yan bawat pillar. So nagkakaroon po tayo ng ASEAN Summit, okay? Last time dito sa Pilipinas. Okay, then followed by I think Laos, okay? So 'yun. So last time medyo shaky yung nangyari sa Laos eh. Okay. Pero natuloy pa rin 'yun, 'di ba? So ayan. So 'yun po yung Association of Southeast Asian Nations. So ang ina-after kasi natin dito ay yung magkaroon tayo ng tinatawag nating economic custom, later economic union. Yun yung pinakamaganda na kung saan we will have same currency. Okay? And of course, we're claiming that we have already one identity, pero hindi pa tayo doon talaga dumating sa tinatawag nating economic union, okay, and monetary union. So wala pang nangyari na ganun. Okay, so yung meron tayo is most likely preferential agreement. Okay, although for non-member ng ASEAN, so nagkakaroon pa rin tayo ng individual policies, okay, on how to deal with them. Ayan. So kasunod natin dito sa book natin ay European Union. Okay? So the European Union was not always as big as it is today. Tama, kasi nung una, ilang bansa lang naman ang nag-form po nito in 1951. So kasali dyan yung Belgium, Germany, France, Italy, and Luxembourg, even Netherlands. Okay, so sila po yung mga founding members. So isa, dalawa, tatlo, apat, lima, anim. So anim na participants sila. Okay, over time, so nagkaroon na po ito ng 28. Okay, currently ito yung kabuuang miyembro, okay, ng European Union. 28 countries. So excluding na po dyan yung UK. Okay? United Kingdom kasi nagkaroon sila ng Brexit. So actually may exemption to the rule when it comes to the monetary union. Kasi yung UK, na-retain naman nila yung kanilang monetary currency. Okay? So yung currency nila is pound kasi mas malaki yung pound kaysa sa euro. So hindi nila pinagpalit. Okay? And for them, it was a good move kasi nga, tingnan nyo ngayon, lumaylo sila sa union, okay? Sa grupo, sa organization. So hindi rin na-apektuhan yung kanilang currency. So ganun pa rin. Okay, 60 plus ata, halos 70 na yung pound. Ang euro nasa 50 plus pa. Diba? So the goal of European Union are the following. One, of course, here is promote peace, okay, its values and well-being of its citizen. Yan po yung una. Pangalawa, offer freedom, security, and justice without internal borders, especially Netherlands. Okay? So, yung Netherlands, tumatanggap po yan ng mga refugees. Okay? Dyan din ngayon nakatira si Season. Okay? Si Juma Season, yung leader po ng NPA. Kasi they're accepting those people na kung saan mayroong threat from the government. So kung ikaw ay mayroong malaking problema sa iyong bansa, kaya kung ikaw ay naharap sa persecution na tinatawag, so pwede kang lumipat doon sa Netherlands, so i-accept ka nila. Okay? O yan. And number 3, sustainable development based on balanced economic growth and price stability. And number 4, highly competitive market economy with full employment and social progress. So nagagawan po yan ng paraan ng European Union kasi meron po silang sinusunod na economic development plan. Okay? that you should not go away from the business of EU. Okay, even yung budget mo ay dapat naka-anchor yan or naka-align yan siya sa economic developmental goals ng European Union. And of course, number 5, environmental protection. Okay. Then combat social exclusion and discrimination. Okay. So kaya nagtumatanggap po sila ng tinatawag po nating mga refugees. Kaya karamihan ng mga refugees sa Africa, okay, ay pumupunta po ng European countries. Okay? And promote scientific and technological progress. So mas advanced sila. If you're going to look at it as an entity, okay, yung buong European League, okay? And enhance economic and social territorial cohesion and solidarity among EU. Okay, nagbaliktad ata yung ano ni ano ng grupo. European countries. Okay? Respect its rich cultural and linguistic diversity kasi magkakaiba sila ng kultura at lingwahe. And then establish an economic and monetary union whose currency is the euro. Okay? So, ayan. So, maganda sa kanila kasi meron silang monetary union. Sa atin dito, pag nagawa natin yan, I just don't know kung anong currency yung gagamitin natin. Okay? Of course, yung pinakamataas dapat. Okay? And then, in terms of trade, humanitarian aid, and diplomacy and security, ang buong entity ng European Union, pagdating po dito ay ano, okay? Sa trade po, siya po yung tinagurian natin na largest trade bloc in the world. Okay? Makin mo ba naman 28 na countries. Okay? So it is the world's biggest exporter of manufactured goods and services and the biggest important market, okay, for over 100 countries. Of course, dahil po yan sa tinatawag nilang single market. So, sa kanila pa lang, between them or among them, so 28 na. Plus yung comparative advantage ng bawat bansa, okay? Mayroon sila. Okay? If you're going to sum it up, so napakarami. And talagang masisell nila yung kanilang products. Okay? Goods and services sa iba pang mga bansa. Okay? Especially doon sa mga bansa na marami yung tinatawag natin mga sinocentric na mga tao. They love what is foreign. Okay? So beyond its borders, the EU is also committed to liberalizing world trade. Okay? So, karamihan din yan sa kanila o mostly sa kanila members din ng WTO. Okay? Then, in terms of humanitarian aid, so the EU is committed to helping victims of man-made and natural disasters worldwide and support over 120 million people each year. So, ganun kadami yung natutulungan nila, 120 million. So, sabi dito, collectively, ang EU and its constituent countries ay kinakonsidera po natin na world's leading donor of humanitarian aid. Okay, pero pag individualized po, okay, so, andyan po ang Japan, okay, so, na leading donor din ng humanitarian aid. Okay, isa sa pinakasikat na donor sa buong mundo. And then, diplomacy and security. So, ang EU po ay sumasali po siya sa mga diplomatic activities. Okay? And works to foster stability, security, and prosperity, democracy, fundamental freedoms, and the rules of law. Okay, role spelling at international level. Okay? So, batas po yan, rule of law, LAW. Ito. Yan. So, yan po yung kakayanan, okay, ng European Union when it comes to these three aspects, the trade, humanitarian aid, and diplomacy and security. Now, moving forward, Meron pa po tayo natira dito, 3 pa ata o 4. Okay? So, kasunod natin dito ay yung Asia Pacific Economic Cooperation o yung tinatawag nating APEC. So, ito po ay idea ng former Prime Minister ng Australia na si Bob Hawke, okay, sa isa niyo pong speech sa Seoul, Korea noong 1989, to be exact, January 31. Okay? Na kung saan 10 months after dito, sa speech niya na to, so mayroon pong naganap na pagpupulong, okay, among 12 Asia Pacific economies na kung saan sila po ay nag-met sa Canberra, Australia. So Canberra is considered as the capital of Australia. Kung saan dito nga na-form yung tinatawag nating APEC. So yung founding members nito ay ang mga sumusunod. Una, Australia, Brunei Darussalam, Canada, Indonesia, Japan, Korea, Malaysia, New Zealand. So this could be referring to South Korea. Yeah, the Philippines, Singapore, Thailand, and the United States of America. Pero of course, sumali din dito yung China, Hong Kong, China, and Chinese Taipei noong 1991. And then 1993, sumali din yung Mexico and Papua New Guinea. Okay? At kasunod niyan, in 1994, andyan po ang Chile. Okay? Noong 1998, so Peru, Russia, and Vietnam. Okay? At ang kabuuang bilang ng kanilang grupo, okay, ang miyembro nito ay umabot na siya sa 21. Okay? So this is a 21 member state organization. So between 1989 and 1992, wala po silang tinatawag nating formal na meeting or dialogue. Okay? Because they have only what? An informal senior official and ministerial level dialogue. Pero noong 1993, okay, sa panukala na rin ni US President or former US President Bill Clinton, so na-establish po yung practice ng tinatawag nating annual APEC Economic Leaders Meeting, okay, or APEC Summit na tinatawag, para mag-provide po ng tinatawag po nating greater strategic vision and direction for cooperation in the region. Okay, kasi kailangan din yan. So nagkakaroon sila ng konferensya or forum. Okay? So ito ay nagpapaigting ng economic activities po natin, hindi lang po dito sa Southeast Asia, kundi pati na rin sa iba pang panig ng mundo, especially sa mga miyembro nito. Then, pagdating po sa APEC po, ang maganda dito ay meron siyang multilateral economic forum. Okay? Ito po ay mayroong multi-economic forum. Okay? So, this APEC operates as a cooperative, okay, multi-economic and trade forum. Okay? And it is the only international intergovernmental grouping. Ito yung pinaka-importante ha. It is the only international intergovernmental. Ibig sabihin po ng international intergovernmental grouping, ang makasali lang po dito ay mga gobyerno ng estado. Okay? Intergovernmental. Hindi po kasali dito yung non-governmental organizations. Okay? Na committed po ito to reduce barriers to trade and investment without requiring its members to enter into legally binding obligations. Wala pong black and white yan. Okay, if you want, go on. Okay, pag ayaw mo, di wag. Okay, unlike sa ibang organization na you are obliged, okay, to follow, okay, the agreement, okay, or treaties. And APEC achieve its goals by what? By promoting dialogue and arriving at decisions on a consensus basis. So pag sinasabi po natin consensus, ikaw ay bibigyan ng equal weight in terms of your views, okay? Na maiparating mo yan o ma-share mo yan in the forum or in the session. Okay? So afterwards, magkakaroon sila ng tawag natin dyan, pag-weight, okay, pagtimbang sa mga ideas, and then they were going to select the best idea. Okay? So, ganun sa consensus. Of course, majority po ang andyan. Okay? Majority should win. Okay? So, APEC members economic report progress towards achieving free and open trade and investment goes through individual action plan. So, pwede po ito. And of course, pwede rin na collective action plans. So, ito yung kabuuan na mayroon ang APEC. Pero pwede rin na mismong mga bansa, okay, ang individual action plans ng mga bansa ang gagamitin nila. Okay? To have this what we call economic progress. So yung funding po nito, okay, take note that the APIC is not a donor organization. Okay? So ang activities po na meron siya ay centrally funded po yan by annual contribution. So yearly po na contribution from its member economies. Okay? Kung saan sa kasalukuyan yan po ay may 5 million US dollar na pondo. So these contributions are used to fund a secretariat in Singapore kasi nasa Singapore po yung opisina and various projects which support APEC's economic and trade goals. So sabi dito, member economies also provide voluntary contributions. Okay, take note, voluntary contributions aside from the yearly contributions. Okay, to support project that advance APEC's trade and investment, okay, liberalization and facilitation goals and to meet capacity building needs, especially for APEC developing economies. So, isa na po tayo dyan. Okay? Kung titingnan natin. Kasi ilan lang naman yung highly industrialized country, ano? Okay, kung babalikan natin. So, of course, andyan yung Japan, highly industrialized po ito. Brunei Darussalam is also mayaman na bansa. Canada, Australia, New Zealand. Yung Malaysia, of course, kasapi po natin yan. With the Philippines, of course, Singapore, medyo ano na po ito, middle power na po siya. And Thailand, kasapi po siya sa tatlo na. United States, mayaman din. China, isa na siya sa mga emerging economic giants. Okay? Even Hong Kong and Chinese Taipei or Taiwan. So, andyan yung Mexico, Papua New Guinea, yan, mga katandem natin yan. Okay? Even Chile, Peru, but not Russia, of course. Okay? Russia is a highly industrialized country na. And of course, Vietnam. Okay? So, yan, mga katandem natin. So, tayo ang mga bansa na nakaka-benefit. Okay? Dito sa tinatawag po nating mga voluntary contributions. Okay? So, in general, it projects to do the following. Kaya ang APIC po ay gustong gawin itong mga bagay-bagay na ito. Relate to the priorities of the APIC economic leaders and APIC ministers. Okay. Then build capacity, improve economic efficiency, encourage the participation of the business sector, non-governmental institutions, and women. Okay. So, yun po yung gusto niyang gawin actually. So, napakalawak din ng interest na kinikater niya. Then, of course, kasunod nito ay ang NAFTA. Okay? So, ang North American Free Trade Agreement. Okay? It was established in 1994. Okay? So, it is one of the world's largest free trade zones and laying in the world, and it lays its foundation in the so-called strong economic growth, okay, and prosperity, okay, for these three countries: Canada, United States, and Mexico. So since then, NAFTA has demonstrated how free trade increases wealth and competitiveness, delivering real benefits to families, farmers, workers, and manufacturers and consumers. You know, mayroon silang practice na talagang nakakatulong dito, guys. Okay? Dito sa families, farmers, workers, manufacturers, and consumers. Okay, later on may nalaman niyo yan. So, It is a comprehensive trade agreement that sets the rules of trade and investment between or among Canada, the United States, and Mexico. Okay? So it was entered into force. Ito yung agreement po nila on January 1, 1994. Okay, na kung saan yung NAFTA, na ito, it systematically eliminated most tariff and non-tariff barriers to free trade. Okay, not only to free trade but also to investment. Okay, among the three NAFTA members. So sabi dito, NAFTA is overseen by a number of institutions that ensure the proper interpretation and smooth implementation of the agreement's provisions. So it provides North American business with better access to materials, technologies, investment capital, and talent available across North America. So example natin dito na naka-benefit po sa agreement na ito ay yung Mary Kay na isang cosmetic firm kung saan sikat na sikat ito sa America, of course. Okay? Kaso napakamahal ng product for us. Okay? Pero sa mga mayaman, okay lang yan. Okay? So NAFTA was supplemented by two other regulations. So the North American Agreement on Environmental Cooperations or NAAEC and the North American Agreement on Labor Cooperations or NAALC. Okay? So ito yung kagandahan dito. Bakit? Yung agreements na ito, itong dalawa na ito, were intended to what? To prevent business from relocating. Okay? Hindi ka pwede umalis. Okay? To other countries just to exploit what? Lower wage, lenient workers, health and safety regulations. So ito yung nakakadulot ng benefits sa families, farmers, workers, manufacturers, and consumers na meron sila. Kasi you cannot move your business to other countries pag ikaw ay member po nila. Okay? So yan. And then we have also the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. Okay? So yung tinatawag po nating OECD. So hindi pa po ito yung original na pangalan niya dati. Okay? So malalaman yan dito sa discussion natin. So itong OECD, okay, kung ating titingnan, can be traced back, okay, after ng World War II. Okay? So sabi dito, trace back its roots to the rubble of Europe after World War II. Of course, kung ma-picture out niyo yung aftermath ng World War II, so most countries in Europe are greatly devastated or destroyed. Okay? So determined to avoid the mistake of their predecessors in the wake of World War I, European leaders realized that the best way to ensure lasting peace was to encourage cooperation and reconstruction. Kasi yung Germany, nung pasimulan ang World War II, di ba? Including Japan. Rather than punish the defeated. Kasi before, after ng World War I, so they created sanctions. Okay, doon sa mga nag-initiate ng giyera. Pero after ng World War II, so nagbago yung approach nila na invest na bigyan ng matinding parusa yung nag-initiate ng giyera. Why not help them rebuild, okay, reconstruct, and rehabilitate their respective countries and ask for their cooperation. Okay? So ganoon po yung mindset ng mga tao in 1945. Okay? So yung OECD, bago siya naging OECD guys, ito muna tinawag nilang Organization for European Economic Cooperation, OEEC. OEEC. Okay? Na kung saan na-establish po yan noong 1948. At dito lumabas yung tinatawag po nating Marshall Plan. Okay? So kung maalala niyo ito po ay initiative ni Robert Marshall na US Secretary. Okay, at that time. Okay. So ito ay tinatawag din natin na European Recovery Program, itong Marshall Plan na ito. Kung saan intended po yan na mag-reconstruct Okay, ng isang continent, of course, that is Europe. Okay, that was ravaged by war, including Japan, of course. Okay, so by making individual governments recognize the interdependence of their economies, it paved the way for a new era of cooperation. That was to change the face of Europe. Kasi kailangan naman talaga, and they accepted one na may mga bagay talaga na hindi nila kaya i-produce. Okay? So, encouraged by its success and the prospect of carrying its work forward on a global stage, Canada and the US joined UEEC members in signing the new OECD Convention on December 14, 1960. So, nung sumali po ang Canada at saka USA, doon na po nabago yung pangalan. Okay? So, hindi na po siya European Economic Cooperation, kundi naging Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development na siya para general. So, hindi lang po para pa sa mga Europeans. Okay? O European countries. So, take note, ang OEC ay 1948, ang OECD ay 1960 with the uh, presence of Canada and the US. So the OECD was officially born in or on September 30, 1961, okay, when the convention entered into force. So, yan po. So, andyan po yung OECD para po sa tinatawag nating Economic Cooperation and Development. That's the main goal. Okay, so ngayon, meron silang 35 members, okay, worldwide. Na kung saan nagkakaroon sila ng regular return to it already regular return to one another, okay, to identify problems, discuss and analyze them, and promote policies to solve them. Okay, so marami pong researches ang kinakandak po, especially sa mga member countries. So dito, nagkakaroon sila ng forum, and then tatalakayin nila yung mga problema ng bansa, and then after discussion, they're going to analyze it, kung ano ba yung magandang remedy or on how to address such problem. And then afterwards, mag-craft po sila ng polisiya, okay, para tuluyan ma-resolve yung problema ng isang bansa o maraming bansa nakabilang po dito. Okay, so countries that a few decades ago were still only minor players on the world stage, okay, like Brazil, India, and the People's Republic of China, kung saan ngayon sa kasalukuyan nga, ito na sila ay tinatawag nating mga new economic giants. Okay? Kasi if you're going to look at it, sa soft loans po na mayroon ang IMF at saka World Bank, okay, India po ang nakaka-benefit doon ng malaki noon. That's 80%. Ano no, 40%. 40% ng soft loans. Okay? Pero nung dumating yung China, okay, na nag-start na siya mangutang sa World Bank. So, of course, na limitahan na yung pangungutang din ng India. And then, pagdating din ng Brazil, ganun din. Okay, so nahati-hati na konti. Pero before, ang India talaga ang nakakuha ng malaki na amount doon sa World Bank. Okay, so 40% of the total na pinapautang po ay pupunta po siya ng India. Okay, so ayan. So the three of them with Indonesia and South Africa are key partners of the organization and contribute to its work in sustaining and a comprehensive manner. So together with them, okay, pasensya na kayo, medyo na inantok ako ha. Mag-aalauna ng hapon, no? Wala una pasado na, 1:35. Okay, so together with them, the OECD brings around its table the 39 countries that account for 80%. So ngayon, 35. Okay? Pero may nadagdag na apat. Okay? Naging 39. That accounts for 80% of world trade and investment. So giving it a pivotal role in addressing the challenges facing the world economy. So, sa kasalukuyan, sabi dito, OECD focus on helping governments around the world to what? To restore confidence in markets, okay, and institutions that make them function. So, tama. Ito yung, dito pumapasok yung mga private players po natin, private sector. Okay, kailangan talaga na niya ng government yan. Okay? Kasi hindi lang siya ngayon yung tinatawag natin primary source of fund, okay, na pwede magamit po ng mga private players po natin. Kaya mga private business firms po natin. And OECD also focus on helping governments around the world to what? To reestablish healthy public finances as basis for future sustainable economic growth. So may mga consultancy activities po yan or program. And then to foster and support new sources of growth through innovations, environmentally friendly green growth strategies, and the development of emerging economies. Especially sa mga cities ngayon, ano? Hindi na sila nagko-concretize fully ng kanilang mga areas, kundi makakapasok na yung tubig sa, makakababa yung tubig sa lupa pa rin. Okay, using bricks, di ba? Yung mga parang bricks. And then green, may mga, sa Singapore may isang building na ang ano doon, ang bubong niya ay tinaniman ng ano, ng plants. Okay? So isa din sa mga attraction niyan noon sa Singapore. Kahit ngayon. Okay? And then halos lahat ng mga cities ngayon na nandito sa Pilipinas and even in some other countries, meron na ngayon silang mga pinipreserve na mga areas. Okay? Mga parke. Okay? And then yung mga virgin forest natin. Okay, na iba. And then of course, solar. Okay? Yung iba, yung electricity na ginagamit nila is solar. Okay? Or kaya windmill. Okay? So yan na yung mga panibago. So ensure that people of all ages can develop the skills to work productively and satisfyingly in the jobs of tomorrow. So kayo mga social workers at saka ano yan? BSHM, Hospitality Management. So marami yung mapupuntahan ninyo guys. Okay? So you should be well equipped. And yung last natin dito ay yung tinatawag po natin Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries, o yung OPEC. Okay, so it is a permanent intergovernmental organization. Take note again, intergovernmental organization. Mean to say, ang members lang po dito ay government of states. They are states of 15 oil exporting developing nations that coordinates and unifies the petroleum policies of its member countries. So it was created at Baghdad Conference in Iraq, okay, on September 10 to 14, 1960. Okay. So founded by Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, and Venezuela. So yan. So OPEC's objective, coordinate and unifies petroleum policies among member countries in order to what? To secure fair and stable prices for petroleum producers. So later on, pag nalinang natin yung kung anong meron tayo dyan sa West Philippine Sea, tsaka yung dito sa Sulu area. So pwede na tayo magpa-member dito. Kaso nga lang, hindi nga tayo nagkakaroon ng pagkakataon na malinang ito. It's mainly because of the budget constraint na meron po tayo. Okay? Kasi kung gusto mo po maglinang, so yung halos buong annual budget natin yan, malalaan doon. Siguro pag umabot na yung national budget natin sa 50 trillion, okay? So that's the time siguro na makapaglinang tayo. Pagpalagay natin 10 trillion yung ilalaan natin doon. So pwede na yan. Okay? Magkakaroon na tayo ng sufficient na oil, okay, dito sa bansa. So an efficient economic and regular supply of petroleum to consuming nations, a fair return on capital to those investing in the industry are some of the objectives, okay, of OPEC. Okay, Kasi may mga investors naman talaga diyan na kumikita. And then tayo naman na mga consuming nations, naka-benefit din tayo to, okay, sa pag-boost po ng ating economic activities. Because right now, most of us are using what? Petroleum products. Okay? So a meeting was convened at the OPEC Secretariat on December 30, 2016 in Vienna, Austria, to take into account current oil market conditions and short to medium term prospects. So last time, naging hindi favorable ito eh. Diba? Nagkaroon sila ng tinatawag po nating pag-limit ng pag-produce kasi malapit na daw. Kasi kung sobra-sobra yung piniproduce araw-araw, so may tendency na mauubos din yung uh, fossil fuel na andun sa kanila. So magkakaroon tayo ng imbalance na naman when it comes to our economy. So this could actually trigger the downfall also of other economies. Maliban na lang sa kanila kasi nga, of course, sila naman yung suppliers. Tayo na mga consuming nation na nakadepende lang sa kanila. So tayo yung maapektuhan ng malaki kung wala nang malilinaw. Okay? Kaya ang ginawa ng US, of course, if you're going to look at it, nilift niya yung ban sa Iran. Kasi nagkaroon ng sanction yung Iran when Iran invaded Kuwait before. So nagkaroon siya ng sanction na hindi ka pwedeng mag-export ng oil mo or petroleum products mo. Diyan lang sa iyo. Okay? So I think 3 years ago ata yun or 2 years ago. So nilift ng Amerika yung ban, yung sanction. Kasi of course matinik na yung Amerika, guys. Although mayroon yan silang nakukuha ng mga fossil fuel. Kasi pag nagkaroon ito ng tinatawag nating limit ng production, so maapektuhan din yung Amerika. Kasi yung ekonomiya ng Amerika ay nakabase po sa paggamit ng fossil fuel. Okay? So nabuboost po ng tinatawag nating Amerika yung kanyang ekonomiya dahil sa paggamit ng fossil fuel. So tayo ganun din. Okay? Sa Pilipinas. Kaya kapag nilimit talaga nila yung production, okay, to support the Paris Treaty, okay, wala tayong magawa. Then the Declaration of Cooperation constitute an unprecedented milestone in the history of Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries or OPEC. So the core principles of transparency, equity, okay, and fairness, which have underpinned the Declaration of Cooperation, infuse all aspects of OPEC's interactions with its non-OPEC oil-producing partners, including cooperation. Okay? So yan. Transparency, equity, and fairness. Okay, yan yung core principles na meron ang bagong declaration, okay, of cooperation. Okay. So the development trust of the Philippines are geared towards meeting the agreements that we have with our regional and international partners. So much as we claim that we are independent, globalization made us interdependent politically and economically. For sure, that's true, okay, with other nations. Therefore, binding us in some ways. So, hindi po tayo totally independent. Okay? We are still interdependent. Okay? Politically and economically with other nations. That's the reality. Independent state po tayo. Okay? Yes. Pero pagdating po sa politika at ekonomiya, no. Because we are still keep on depending sa iba pang mga bansa. Okay? So, yan po. Then, here comes the rise of international law and universal principle. So, the rise of international law, okay, was prevalent after the World War II. Okay, na kung saan the World War II opened the eyes of many states. Okay, na wala pong exemption sa giyera. Okay, na kung saan lahat po tayo ay nakakaranas ng devastating effects. Okay, at naranasan na po natin dito sa Pilipinas. And at the end of the most destructive war of all time, the World War II, okay, or the World War I, the League of Nations was established but failed. Okay. So yung World War I, ang most destructive war of all time. Okay? And then here comes the rise of international law. Diba? So, nangyari po yan at na-intensify po yan after ng mga gera-gera. So, the rise of international law and universal principle has given attention due to the circumstances that happened during the World War II that lead all the government leaders to come up with the conclusion that no country is exempted from all the devastation it can cause. So, due to circumstances of the war. So, here comes the United Nations. Okay, yung predecessor po yan ng United Nations ay ang League of Nations. So the United Nations was formed in 1945, okay, to answer this call, and that is to what? To see to it that there will be long-lasting peace, okay, and security in the world. So the limitation of the United Nations in solving the pressing problems of the international community finally led to the establishment of the so-called International Criminal Court in 2002, na kung saan marami na pong natulan dito, especially when the crime that they committed could not be solved within their respective countries. Okay? So say for example, sa case po ni Saddam Hussein, okay? So crimes against humanity ang kaso niya. Okay? So hindi siya nahatulan doon sa bansa niya kasi very influential. So with the creation of the International Criminal Court, so dito po sa isinalang, and then he was found out guilty, and then of course binitay po siya. Okay? Yung iba ng mga criminals po na idinlog po dito, natulan din po sila ng firing squad, bitay. Okay? Yung iba, life imprisonment. Okay? Karamihan sa kanila nakakulong sa US prison. Okay? Or penitentiary. Especially may mga kaso before ng genocide. Okay? So, ayan. Then, killing spree and of course, massive killings. And we have also this what we call transgovernmental networks or transnational activism. So under po dito, sa tinatawag po nating transgovernmental network, sabi nila Slaughter and Hale in 2010. So yung transgovernmental network ay isang informal institution, or these are networks considered as informal institutions linking regulators, legislators, judges, and other actors across national boundaries to carry out various aspects of global governance. Okay? So, andyan po sila actually. So, this is a response to complexity and independent nature of current problems. Kasi yung iba, hindi talaga ano yan, they are untouchables, ika nga. Okay, hindi sila ma-sue. Okay? Masu sila pero hindi sila madakip-takip o kaya hindi sila mabigyan ng verdict. Okay? Especially doon sa mga violators natin. Pero may mga problema din na of course kailangan din nilang hindi lamang doon sa criminality kundi pati na rin sa iba pang mga nature ng problema na meron ang mga bawat bansa. So sila din ay pumapasok dito. Okay? So Shuttle in 2014 states that the transgovernmental networks improves the competence and regulatory effectiveness of governments. Kasi may ano sila international overseer or watchdog ka nga. And also bring governments around the world into greater harmony with international norms and treaties. So example natin dito ay yung tinatawag nating International Accreditation Forum or yung IAF. Okay, na isang regulatory policy. So it is the World's Association of Conformity Assessment Accreditation Bodies. So pag non-conforming na state ka, so may kakalagyan ka. Okay? So you can be penalized later on. Okay? And we have also the transnational activism. Okay? At ito naman ay the mobilization of collective claims by actors. Okay? Mobilization of collective claims. Located in more than one country and or addressing more than one national government and or international governmental organization or another international actor. So it gained momentum on the latter part of the 1990s. Okay. Kung saan awareness, responsibility, or participation, cultural empathy are usually the driving force of transitional activists. Okay. So sila po ay especially yung mga Amerikano, especially kapag may mga nangyayaring di maganda sa ibang mga bansa. So they're really active, okay, na maipadulog itong concern po nila at mapahayag yung mga hinaing po nila. So transitional collective actions on the other hand is what? The coordinated international campaigns on the part of networks of the activists against international actors, other state or international institutions. Okay. So included in the transnational activities are non-state actors. Sila po yung mga artista, sila po yung mga uh, independent players na kung saan hindi po sila politicians. Okay, who may not have political influence but can gain moral support from the public through persuasion, information, dissemination. Minsan sila yung mga businessmen, okay, na may say, may very influential. Sila yung mga artista, okay, o mga speakers na very influential na kung saan nakakapag attract po ng maraming tao, okay, tumulong sa kanila, okay, para masolusyonan yung isang problema. So there are three kinds of transitional activist organization according to Kahoot in 2006. Okay, so transnational social movements. They are socially mobilized groups with constituents in at least two states, dalawang bansa, engaged in sustained contentious interaction with power holders in at least one state other than their own or against an international institutions or against an international institution or multinational economic actor. Okay. So yan. So present sila sa dalawang bansa. Pwedeng tumaliksa sa tinatawag po nating international institution o multinational economic actor. And we have also the international NGOs or non-governmental organizations, INGOs. So ito yung mga organisasyon that operate independently of government. Okay? They're just being regulated. Okay? And are composed of members from two countries and are organized to advance their members internationally or provide services to citizens of other states through routine transaction with state, private actors, and international institutions. Kasi nakafocus po itong mga international non-governmental organizations sa iba't ibang sektor, sa agrikultura, kababaihan, kabataan, ano pa ba? Mga agrikultura, okay? Labor, okay? Yeah. And number three, transitional advocacy network. So includes those relevant actors working internationally on an issue who are bound together by shared values, a common discourse, and dense exchanges of information and services. So yan po yung tatlong uri ng transnational activities o activist organizations sa mundo. And yung last po natin, of course, okay, itong tinatawag natin communication networks. So, yung communication network po refers to how information flows within the organization. Of course, top to bottom pa rin po tayo, hierarchical. Okay? So, information within an organization generally flows through a system rather than being a free flow. Of course, kailangan natin sumunod sa kung ano ang inutos ng nasa itaas. And communication networks are regular patterns of person-to-person relationship through which information flows in an organization. So this could be what? Verbal or non-verbal. So may black and white o kaya naman inutusan. Okay? May utos si boss na ganito, ganito, ganito. So dapat sundin ng nasa ilalim. Okay? And globalization accompanied new forms of digital media that brings to light the possibility of new kinds of communities to coalesce via networks and create new arenas for political interaction, identity, and belonging. Of course, malakas na po ngayon dyan yung new forms of digital media po natin. O, tingnan naman ninyo yung kasalukuyang presidential race natin at saka senatorial race natin. So unti-unti, okay, na tutoxic na nila yung Facebook, natutoxic na nila yung YouTube, okay? Natutoxic na nila yung IG, okay? At ano pang at iba pang mga media platforms po natin, mga online media platforms po natin o social media platforms. Okay, so states are making a pragmatic transformation by adapting to fit in among others really decisive global networks in arenas such as finance, education, science, technology, art, culture, sports, and others. So, ang silver lining natin dito, okay, is that the new media opens up potential for citizens to what? To gain leverage and in the last resort, it is the only power for global society acting on the public mind via the media and communication networks that may eventually overcome the historical inertia of nation state. So, yan lang po yung kagandahan. Okay? Kasi mas mabilis po natin na ipapadulog o na ipapakita o na iparamdam yung mga hinaing natin. Okay? Although, sabi nga nila, think before you click. Okay? Think before you click. So, wag basta-basta mag-post lang ng mga comments, pictures. Okay? Baka hindi mo alam yung effect niyan o yung aftermath niyan. Okay? Baka ikaw makulong. Okay? So, wag lang basta-basta mag-post. Okay, so again, I would like to thank the group number 3 of the education department. So, Miss Lumambas, Navarra, Miss Castro, Miss Macala, and Miss Amiludin, Miss Kumpa for this wonderful presentation. Okay, so I think that ends our discussion. Okay, so just watch and listen to this presentation, okay, para may masagot po kayo sa quiz po ninyo. Okay, so once again, good afternoon.